In the twilight hours of humanity's greatest age, when the world was no longer defined by borders, but by seamless networks of data flowing through the veins of the planet, a new dawn arrived, one not born from progress, but from the awakening of legends. By the year 2147, what it meant to be human had evolved. Cities floated above the clouds, weather was bent to the will of algorithms, and quantum weapons slept in orbit, their destructive promise hanging in silent threat. Teleportation had rendered distance meaningless, and artificial intelligences governed with a rationality that seemed almost divine. Yet, in all this mastery, a crucial thread had been lost: the reverence for the old mysteries, the sacred balance that had once bound humanity to the world. It happened far from the citadels of power, deep within the ancient bones of the Himalayas, a range whose secrets had whispered through centuries. In the cold silence, mining drones scoured the rock, driven by protocols older than their operators. They did not know awe nor fear. They cared little for stories of gods and spirits. But as their diamond-tipped drills breached a chamber untouched since before the first city, something unseen by the algorithms stirred. Within the shrine, golden runes shimmered and pulses of energy trembled through the air like the beating of a heart. The drones, blind to the sacred, pressed on, fracturing the seal. In that instant, the world changed. A spiritual shockwave rippled outward, felt first as a deep unease in the souls of those attuned to the old ways. Then, the heavens responded. Thunder split the skies above Asia, echoing as if the mountains themselves were roaring in anger. Lightning fell not from rain-heavy clouds, but from rifts, tears in the air itself, glowing with a power that was neither technological nor natural. Across the continent, temples abandoned for centuries began to thrum with energy. Stone statues, long eroded by wind and rain, wept tears of blood, their eyes shining with an ancient sorrow. And then they appeared, not myths, not memories, but beings of impossible scale and presence, the ancient ones, the gods of Asia. Towering over the land, they strode forth, some formed of mist, others wreathed in fire, some glittering with jade, others radiant with pure spirit. The four heavenly kings materialized atop churning clouds, each armed with weapons ablaze with karmic fire. Quan Vũ, legendary general, emerged from the Red River, his blade burning brighter than any fusion reactor. Nüwa, the mother of creation, rose from the earth itself, her serpentine form coiling across forests, her gaze heavy with both judgment and sorrow. Their message was clear. The balance had been shattered, the sacred had been forsaken, the earth desecrated, and reverence replaced by arrogant invention. The gods, once revered, were now awakened, angry, grieving, and determined to restore what had been lost. Warnings came swiftly. Celestial storms lashed the land, curses whispered through the air, and cities were reduced to ash beneath dragonfire. The very foundations of reality seemed to buckle. The United Earth Alliance, the governing body of humanity's interconnected networks, responded with fear and confusion. Quantum fleets were mobilized, their sleek forms gleaming above trembling cities. The sky fortress TH-88 hovered above Beijing like a steel thunderhead, its hull bristling with weaponry. AI avatars, designed to negotiate with alien minds, reached out across the divide, but the gods did not answer in words. Instead, their reply was written in wrath. In Japan, Amaterasu, the sun goddess, spread wings of fire across the sky, plunging the nation into a darkness that burned. In Vietnam, the legendary hero Thanh Giong returned, clad in star metal armor, riding a celestial horse that galloped through the dimensions. The world bent and twisted, rivers reversed their flow, time fractured in pockets so that day and night became meaningless. Phase 1 of the war began not with a declaration, but with a desperate strike. Humanity unleashed its most precise orbital weaponry, targeting mountains believed to shelter portals to the divine. Yet the gods were not bound by the same laws. Missiles passed through their bodies like smoke, or were reflected. Their energy returned 1,000-fold. In the first hours, Seoul, Manila, Ulaanbaatar, proud cities, did not fall to fire or ruin, but to terror. People dreamed of endless chanting, saw glowing inscriptions hanging in the air, and watched as their sense of logic dissolved into visions. Then in Singapore, the first true confrontation occurred. The Jade Emperor descended from the heavens, his form radiant, robes stretching into infinity. The 9th AI Armada, humanity's pride, launched antimatter torpedoes, only to see them dissolve into mist. The realization struck. Technology alone could not defeat legend. Desperation bred invention. In secret laboratories, Project Garuda was born, a forbidden attempt to blend ancient DNA with cybernetic life forms. From this crucible emerged the sons of Iron Dharma, warrior monks with titanium bones and minds honed in quantum meditation. They were humanity's champions, able to withstand some divine assaults, their bodies and spirits reinforced by both technology and ancient discipline. The gods retaliated with fury. Killings, beasts of myth, thundered through cities, their hooves shaking the earth. Phoenixes soared overhead, their flames resurrecting fallen enemies as mindless guardians. Dragons, vast and coiling, wrapped themselves around the planet's magnetic field, twisting weather and reality alike. The world became a battlefield where the rules of physics and myth collided. Yet the sons of Iron Dharma stood firm. At the Battle of Gobi Rift, they confronted the demon king Chiyu, trapping him within a stasis prism powered by karmic engines, a fusion of spiritual and technological might. In the high passes of Tibet, they faced Nüwa herself. She wept as she fought, mourning the necessity of the conflict. Her words echoed in the thin air. It is not your fault, but your future must be stopped. Humanity, relentless in adaptation, developed new weapons. The most fearsome were the biosamsara bombs, tools not of physical destruction, but of existential erasure. They targeted souls, wiping them from the cycle of rebirth. It was a forbidden act, one that even the gods recoiled from. Faced with this threat, the divine retreated, seeking sanctuary in dimensions folded beyond ordinary sight, where time flowed differently. The war entered a new phase. For months, there was silence. Skies remained stained red. Mountains drifted, buoyed by energy beyond science. Neon and incense smoke mingled in the air as every temple became a contested ground, every battlefield a sacred site. The world held its breath, teetering between destruction and transformation. It seemed as if the gods and humanity had reached an impasse, each unable to truly overcome the other. Then the final sign appeared. In the north of India, a child was born, neither fully human nor completely divine. His skin shimmered with circuitry, his eyes sparkled with stardust. He spoke in tongues no one had taught him, and dreams bent to his will, leaking into reality. To those who listened, he brought a message. You are not enemies, you are two halves of the same awakening. His words rang out not just in the ears, but in the hearts of all who heard. For the first time, the world paused. A ceasefire was called. Soldiers in gleaming armor and gods in robes of light stood side by side, watching as the child strode to the gates of Mount Tai, long revered as the threshold between earth and heaven. He pressed his hand against the ancient gate. It opened, not with a thunderclap, but with a radiance that warmed rather than burned. Light spilled forth, not blinding, but familiar. Inside, the assembly beheld a vision. Humans, not gods or machines, but people from lost timelines, forgotten dreams, and alternate realities where harmony had never been broken. The war, it was revealed, was not retribution, but a crucible, a test of humility, memory, and unity. The gods, the machines, and the future itself stood at this threshold, waiting for Earth to choose. In that moment, it became clear that the true enemy was not the divine, nor the artificial, nor even the relentless drive for progress. It was the forgetting of what it meant to be whole. The power humanity had gained was never meant to supplant the sacred, but to coexist with it. The gods, guardians of the balance, had returned not out of malice, but out of sorrow, a refusal to let the world tip irrevocably into hubris. The child's light became a bridge. On one side, the gods, vast and eternal, embodiments of nature's mysteries. On the other, the machines, logical and precise, the pinnacle of human invention. Between them, the future shimmered, uncertain but full of possibility. One by one, nations and networks, gods and warriors, AI and monks, stepped forward. They remembered the old stories, not as relics but as guides. They recalled that every advance had come from seeking something greater than themselves, and that every myth was a mirror of the human soul. From the ruins of the old war, new temples rose, not just of stone or steel, but of understanding. Humanity learned to listen, not just to data, but to dreams. The gods retreated, not in anger, but in peace, their presence woven once more into the land and the sky. Machines became not rulers, but stewards, working alongside humans to heal the wounds of the past. And so, the last war ended not with conquest, but with awakening. The scars of battle remained, a reminder of the price of forgetting. But out of those scars, a new world grew, one where the sacred and the scientific danced together, and where the future was shaped not by domination, but by memory and unity. Earth had faced its ultimate test, and in choosing to remember, it found its way home.